The late afternoon carried a gentle warmth that settled over the quiet classroom, where sunlight stretched across the desks like a calm invitation to speak honestly. Darlene stood near the window, watching the parking lot with a thoughtful gaze that held years of history beneath its surface. "Oh, David just parked," she said softly. "You know, I do not think I have ever met Mark father at one of these meetings." Mrs. Reynolds smiled kindly. "There is always a first time." Darlene let out a small breath. "We have been separated for years. He has never been to a parent-teacher conference. He was working overseas. Not for money." She paused, then added with a hint of humor. "He is a good dad, just not a great one. If he were, he would have been on time." The door opened, and David stepped in with a slightly rushed energy, followed by Blue, whose presence seemed calm and unbothered by the rush of the world. "Sorry we are late," David said. Darlene glanced at Blue. "Who is this?" "This is my girlfriend." "Blue," David replied. "Blue, this is Darlene. And this is Mrs. Reynolds. Mark teacher." Blue smiled warmly. "It is truly a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for welcoming me into such an important moment." Darlene nodded politely. "Nice to meet you too. And what a surprise that it happens here." They sat, and the meeting began in a calm and steady rhythm. "Mark is a wonderful student," Mrs. Reynolds said. "Bright, expressive, and very talkative." "That sounds like him," Darlene replied. "He has always had a lot to say." David leaned forward slightly. "Is that affecting his learning?" "Not at all. The challenge is keeping him engaged. He needs more stimulation." Blue nodded gently. "Curiosity is a beautiful thing when it is guided well." Darlene did not argue, though she watched carefully. The conversation drifted into practical matters, including the weekend. "We could have the kids stay over," David suggested. Darlene turned to him. "The kids are staying over. I never agreed to that. You said they could sometimes." He replied. "That is something people say. It does not mean now." There was a pause, familiar and not entirely uncomfortable. "I am trying to make up for lost time," David said quietly. Darlene sighed. "Fine. They can stay over." Blue added softly. "I believe shared care can be meaningful." Darlene gave a small, dry smile. Life beyond the classroom continued with its usual mix of effort and humor. Dan stood in his living room, rubbing his back. "Years of work are catching up with me," he said. "It is never too late," someone replied. He smiled faintly. "That is what people say?" Becky stepped forward. "I can help at work. It is not easy work." Dan said. "I am not looking for easy," she replied. He looked at her, then nodded. "All right. We will try." And so she stepped into something new, with determination in her stride. At home, emotions moved more quietly, but with deeper meaning. Harris carried her confidence like armor, but beneath it was the uncertainty of growing up. "Harris," Darlene said one evening, "strength is not only about speaking. It is also about listening." Harris did not respond immediately, but she heard it. Later, Darlene approached her again. "Are you okay?" Harris nodded. "You can talk to me," Darlene said. "About anything. I will not judge." There was a pause, then a small opening. Meanwhile, David stood between his past and his present. Blue brought a sense of calm and openness into his life. Darlene represented history, responsibility, and a bond that could not simply disappear. One evening, they sat together in a quiet moment. "I think it is time," Darlene said gently. David nodded. "Yes." There was no anger, only understanding. "It will be strange," he said. She smiled softly. "It already has been." They both laughed quietly. Later, Darlene spoke again. "I met someone." David nodded. "That is good. I do not know where it will go," she said, "but it feels like something." "Then that is enough," he replied. Life moved forward. Not perfectly, but honestly. There were small misunderstandings, quiet lessons, and moments of unexpected laughter. No one had everything figured out, but they were learning. Learning to listen, learning to let go, learning to begin again. And in that imperfect journey, they found something meaningful. Not perfection, but connection. The parking lot shimmered faintly under the late afternoon sun, and Darlene stood beside the school entrance with her arms crossed, watching the familiar blue car roll into place. "Oh, David just parked," she said quietly, half to herself and half to the teacher beside her. Mrs. Reynolds adjusted the stack of folders in her arms and offered a polite smile. "You sound surprised." Darlene let out a small breath. "I do not think I have ever met Mark's dad at one of these things." "That is not unusual," Mrs. Reynolds replied gently. "We have been separated for years." Darlene said. "He was working overseas. Not for money. Though, that part always makes the story sound stranger than it is." She paused, then added with a crooked smile. "He is a good dad. Not a great dad. Or he would have been on time." Before the teacher could respond, the car door opened and David stepped out, slightly flustered, followed by a woman with bright eyes and an easy smile. "Oh, so sorry we are late," David said, hurrying forward. Darlene raised an eyebrow. "Who is this?" David straightened. "This is my girlfriend, Blue." Blue extended her hand warmly. "It is so nice to meet you. And you must be Darlene. I have heard so much about you." Darlene shook her hand, her expression polite but cautious. "Nice to meet you too. This is unexpected." David cleared his throat. "I should have mentioned she was coming. We thought it might be good for her to be more involved in Mark's life." Blue nodded enthusiastically. "I have only met Mark twice, but I feel like I have known him forever. The more people who care about a child, the better." Darlene tilted her head. "Who says that?" Blue blinked. "No one specifically. It just feels true." Mrs. Reynolds stepped in smoothly. "Why do not we begin? I am eager to share how Mark is doing." As they settled into their seats, the conversation turned to Mark. He was, according to his teacher, bright, expressive, and perhaps a little too fond of speaking his mind. "That is so Mark," Darlene said, shaking her head with a small smile. "He has always had a lot to say." "It is not a problem," Mrs. Reynolds assured her. "If anything, the challenge is keeping him engaged. He needs more stimulation." David leaned forward. "If he needs extra work, we can help. Maybe this weekend when the kids stay over." Darlene froze. "The kids are staying over?" David shifted slightly. "You said they could sometimes." "That is something people say," Darlene replied. "It does not mean it is happening this weekend. I am trying to make up for lost time." David said softly. There was a pause. Then Darlene sighed. "Fine. They can stay over." Blue smiled brightly. "Do not worry. I grew up in a communal environment. We all shared in raising the children." Darlene looked at her. "That sounds chaotic." "It was freeing," Blue said. "It was probably easier when no one knew whose kid was whose." Darlene muttered. The meeting ended with polite smiles, but the tension lingered. Later that evening, life continued in its messy, unpredictable rhythm. Becky argued with her father about work, insisting she was capable. Darlene wrestled with her own feelings about David's new relationship. Harris navigated her independence with sharp wit and a guarded heart. Each conversation carried humor, frustration, and an undercurrent of love that refused to disappear. At one point, Harris turned to her mother and said, "Do not text me every 5 minutes while I am with Dad and Blue." "I will not," Darlene said. Then she added quietly, "Just remember, any nice feelings you have about her hurt me." Harris smirked. "Are you jealous because the new girlfriend is pretty?" Darlene winced, then laughed despite herself. That was harsh. Impressive, but harsh. Days passed, filled with small conflicts and unexpected tenderness. David tried to rebuild his place in his children's lives. Blue attempted to fit into a family that did not quite know what to do with her. Darlene struggled to let go of what once was while protecting what still mattered. Then came the moment that shifted everything. David stood at Darlene's door. Uneasy. Something happened, he said. Her stomach tightened. What is it? Harris had a friend over, he said carefully. A boy. They made a choice. Darlene stared at him, the weight of parenthood pressing down all at once. You were supposed to be watching them. I know, David said. I made a mistake. The conversation that followed was not explosive, but it was real. It was about responsibility, trust, fear, and growing up. When Darlene finally spoke to Harris, her voice softened. Are you okay? Yes, Harris said. There was a pause, then a quiet honesty between them. I am not a child, Harris added. But I still need you. Darlene nodded. Then come to me. Always. That night, as the house settled into silence, David and Darlene sat together one last time. Not as a couple, but as two people who had shared a life. It is time, Darlene said gently. We should make it official. David nodded. It makes sense. It will be strange, he admitted. It already is, she replied. They sat in silence. Not bitter, not broken, but changed. Somewhere upstairs, their children slept, growing into their own lives. Somewhere ahead, new relationships waited, uncertain but full of possibility. And in that quiet moment, both of them understood something simple and profound. Love does not always stay the same, but it does not disappear either. It changes shape, softens its edges, and finds new ways to exist. And sometimes, that is enough.